Yo, what's up? My name is Trips. I'm the host of The Real Outside. Today, we got something interesting, something new for the channel, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. This is going to be live, of course, on TikTok, and this is live, recorded for YouTube. First time guest ever doing this. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to say too much until she's in here. She's going to tell us why this is happening, and people should know. Let me just bring her in. Welcome to the Real Outside sit down. You're the first guest on this. Before we start why this is happening, can you tell us, without saying too much, your name, where you're from, and what is your age, please?
Okay, so I'm Ella. I'm from Cornwall. I'm 19 years old.
And tell us why we're having this live stream right now.
So we're having this live stream to raise awareness about neurodiversity, and just to kind of bring it all to light, because it's not spoken about enough, I'd say, within the younger generation, in a way that it's like from the perspective of where it's like actual neurodiverse people talking about it, and it's more, I guess, in our generation it's more spoken about as, oh, it's a joke, like, oh, I'm autistic, oh, I've got ADHD, but then like people don't really know or understand like the actual like of being autistic or having ADHD or being neurodiverse. So we're just bringing that issue and bringing that whole thing to light.
Awesome. How would you like me to describe you? Autistic person or person with autism?
I actually don't have a preference for it. I don't mind being autistic person or person with autism. I really, honestly, I don't have any preference to it. I know other people do have a preference.
Okay.
Because I guess it's just like, from a general perspective, I know of quite a few people who have a preference, but then with myself, I'm just like, you know, this is kind of how it is.
Okay. Of course, you know, this is live, obviously, and you can see the chat. You're more than welcome to quit the stream, end the interview at any time. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, that's fair enough.
So if you feel in type of way, you're more than welcome to leave the stream, or if you can disable the comments on your end, that'd be perfect. Totally up to you. Okay?
Honestly, I don't mind at all, because I think for so long, personally, I've let comments like ruin me, break me down, build me back up. So I feel absolutely fine with like paying attention and not being hyper aware with it all.
If you're okay with that, we'll talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly absolutely fine. Like, I'm used to, like, trust me, I've gone through a lot throughout my younger years. Yeah. So honestly, a negative comment from a person that I don't even know, I'm just like, half the time I'll just disregard it, because they're just making an assumption and they're making a judgment of something which they've overheard bits and pieces about, which isn't exactly the truth.
So I got a few questions to ask. Okay. I got a lot of questions to ask, to be fair. But first of all, when were you diagnosed, and what did that moment feel like? You said you were younger, 14, did you say?
I was about 14. About 14, and it was basically, okay, so basically the whole thing was that my dad was actually working in social care at the time with autistic people. So he owned a lettings business, and then it was like and he sold it during lockdown. And then he was working with these really high support needs autistic people, and he was like noticing that there was like these traits that I was having, that they were having. And bearing in mind, these were like really high support need people who were like living in this like assisted living home. So you're talking very high support needs. And then he was noticing these traits in myself, and he was like, hold on a second, this isn't right, but this is making a load of sense.
Yeah.
So he was like, hold on, my daughter could be autistic, because I was diagnosed with something called dyspraxia when I was I'd like to say about 7 or 8 years old, which was like something that primary school identified that I had. And typically when you've been diagnosed with something like dyspraxia, or some other minor physical conditions, or like even like dyslexia and stuff, because neurodiversity is on this like spectrum. It's almost like a knock-on domino effect from like how I've personally experienced it. But anyways, when I got diagnosed, I was about 14. It was just before a holiday to Greece, actually. So it was back in so it's just after like after the lockdown.
Yeah.
after the lockdown thing like happened, and it was kind of it was like it was like so it was like he mentioned, oh Ellie, you could be autistic, and I was like reading into it. I was reading into it, and I was like, hold on, this is making a load of sense to why I'm acting the way I'm acting.
Yeah.
So it was almost like so the diagnosis was almost like a sense of relief, if
Okay. Yeah.
anything, because as a child I struggled a lot socially
Yeah.
in the sense.
I was gonna ask. Yeah. Eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, as a child
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
struggled a lot socially to the point where like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, they like my parents were really concerned that, oh, this girl isn't making any friends, she's not having any friends, she's struggling with friendships. So basically the school were like, oh let's create a friendship book for you. So I had this like book where I had to write down all the people that I hung out with during the day,
Yeah.
and it was like people wanted, and it was like kids at the time were like, oh, we have to do this because we have to do this because this girl's got a friendship book, you
Yeah.
know. So they kind of like used to take the mick out of me because of this friendship book, which they thought was like which they thought it was like kind of like a solution at the time, when really it was something which was like a deterrent relative to it being a solution, you know.
Right. Right. Okay. Interesting. So, in your early life, did you feel different to other people?
I kind of, in my early life, like from my recollection, I kind of was different in the sense, I'd say feeling different. I didn't actually, I couldn't, I think I was too young to be able to distinguish that.
Mm-hmm.
In my early life, I was like too young. Like I knew, like I was obviously showing different traits, and I think other kids picked up on it. But did I think I was different? I think not. As younger, I was more like hanging, like I was hanging around more like when I was like 8 and 9 years old. I was hanging around like the year fives, the year sixes, so like people who were like age like 10 to 12 at like 6, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of like befriended those people because they had like that understanding, and they could see that I was struggling at that age, but then they couldn't identify what it was because obviously you're kids, you're young, you're
Of
naive.
course. Of course. Of course. So, how would you describe your autism in your own words?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'd say it's difficult to deal with. It'd say like there are things like it's difficult to deal with. It can be very difficult to navigate half of the time
Mm-hmm.
because there's always been because I don't have friends or I don't have the conventional social life. I feel that there's a lot of things that like I've had to really sit down and like analyze for me to get, which really come like naturally intuitive to people who aren't on the spectrum,
Okay.
with like there being a load of like social scenarios and people, and like it's just knowing how to act, knowing how to communicate. It's things which people like intuitively know, which I think that is like it's a really difficult thing for me to like understand and like comprehend. And I think with this like evolving world, like of like these newer social terms and stuff, having to keep up with it and then not having the friends there and not having that and not being around those kind of people, I think that for me is quite a difficult one.
So you said, especially in the DMs, you say that you have no friends, and I
No, I
said to
don't.
you, you must have friends. You must have
No, I
friends.
don't. My reality, my pure reality is that like there are a lot of people out there who know me. There are a lot of people out there who roughly know who I am, and it's a really difficult one since it's like growing up, like I'd say the friends that I did have, or like my so-called friends, it's always been like the wrong group of people who have like been attracted to me for the wrong for almost the wrong reason. So things have like, so let's just say things have started off okay because of like the lack of me understanding certain things. I've been taken advantage of for money. Like there's been like loads of situations where like it's almost been where people have treated me wrong, and like I've seen that, I've recognized those wrong behaviors, but it took my parents to literally call me out on it, and then me being in denial, and then me cutting them off, or them cutting me off because apparently I did something wrong within this whole like liaison of talking to them, which I couldn't see for myself. Or so it's kind of like that, really.
So you understand now, right? Of course.
Yeah.
All right. So can you give me an example of a past thing that happened that they took advantage of you? Like, what exactly did they do?
So I mean, growing up, I've been in a very fortunate position where I've been able to afford things. So there was this one girl that I happened to be mates with, who basically was like, he was basically, I was about 13, and she was like, right, okay, Ella, I can't afford to eat. And then I was just like, okay, so I would like, so off my own back, I was buying her these like Tesco meal deals when they were like £3.50. And then basically I thought, I mean, it's like, then it was like, I was just like, hold on, something ain't right here, because she was buying all these like new clothes, she was buying all these other things. But so she was buying all of these other things, and I was just like, hold on, this isn't like how, like, so you're telling me that you can't afford to eat, and I'm paying all of this money for like meal deals and stuff for you, so you're able to have some form of like decent meal. Yet you're out there buying when you're out there buying when you're a diaper, and you're out there buying you're out there buying all these clothes from like Primark or something, and it's like and you're out there doing these things and activities which people who could afford to have a decent lifestyle could do. So I was just, so then it took mum, so I'm bearing in mind my parents didn't know that I was doing this for her, because otherwise they would have stopped it a while ago. So I was just doing it out of my own naivety, and then something clicks, and then I was just like, yeah, no, I need to cut you off. But then she ended up cutting me off because there was a couple of occasions where I couldn't afford it because I happened to spend all my money on her, and I didn't want to ask mum and dad for money.
Yeah.
Because that's just like, I didn't want to, so that happened when I was about 13 to 14.
And how long did it last for?
It lasted for about 2 years. She cut me off because of there being like an argument that we got into, and then that was that.
Can I ask what's the argument?
I honestly, I think that was something that I think it was something to do with me actually getting diagnosed with autism, I think, or like my whole neurodivergency thing, which is the ironic thing on that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then she was, and then it was also part jealousy as well, because it's like I'm fortunate enough to be in for my parents to be in a position where we have nice things. We've got a nice home. We've got they are very supportive of me. And I think it was some form of argument of that, or I couldn't understand a situation that she was going through, and I was trying to sympathize with her, but then the sympathy wasn't enough, or it's something along the lines of that from my recollection.
So would you think that she was somewhat jealous of you because where you live and?
I wouldn't call it jealousy, because I'd just say it's an insecurity from the person. Like I don't think, like, I just don't, like, because I think a good person out there would be happy for what someone has if they're sharing something out with you. But I think you'd have that mutual level of respect for someone.
Yeah.
But I think so many people who are autistic, I think they get into those scenarios because like, oh, I finally made it. I have a friend. I need to do everything that I can to retain that friendship, even if that means self-sacrifice.
You know who your friends are when that stuff happens. I still can't believe that you have no friends, especially for your age.
No, trust me, I don't like even my mum who's watching this in the comments. She can literally say to your face that my daughter does not have any friends. She can, like, it's a really unfortunate thing, and like I wish, and like I was in denial about it for so long. Like it's like I was in denial about it so much, but I used to like kind of lie, saying to people, oh yeah, no, I've got friends but they're out of country. That is the truth of the situation. It's like people know a lot, like people do, like people know of me, but then it's just like creating a friendship and I guess kind of going through that.
Yeah.
Even and it's like I think people even who grew up around me from my childhood, who I probably haven't spoken to in about 10 years, they can also say that. You just see my mum's comment just now, oh, it's so sad, it breaks me. Like, it
Oh,
does break her.
what's your mum's name?
It's just Alison.
Alison, big love to you. Was your dad around? Was it just your mum?
Yeah, no, so yeah,
Yeah.
so my dad was so yeah, no, my dad is really, really supportive. So
Yeah.
basically my dad was the guy who discovered that technically I had autism.
Okay.
And my dad, and he kind of when during COVID, because he sold a business at the time, I'm really like, he was like, hold on a second, I want to understand my daughter. So I guess so he went above and beyond by getting a master's degree in autism, which he didn't complete, but he was like he was that dedicated.
You know what? What's his name?
Garen. So it's Garin.
Oh,
Garen.
Gowan. Yo,
Yeah.
big love to Gowan. Big love to Gowan. Fair play. Are you the only child, or does he have more kids? Or
No, I've got a younger brother as well.
younger brother. And how is he?
He's all right. He's about 30, he's about 14. So
Okay. Does he have?
he's nothing is he's like the neurotypical brother. He's like your average brother who I guess just like jokes around with his mates. He's a very supportive guy, and I think I think throughout the situations that I've personally gone through, he has been brilliant in the sense that, there's been certain episodes and like things that I've had to deal with would genuinely take a toll on a 14-year-old boy, and it's quite difficult.
We don't have to go too much into it if you feel uncomfortable.
I'm absolutely fine because I've got nothing to hide,
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to like, push you into anything or whatever.
No, it's like, fine, honestly.
This is a safe place. Obviously, this is live, but of course, like I say, and I will keep reiterating it throughout the stream. You need to go for every reason. Obviously, you're more than welcome to.
Like, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Trips.
Yeah, we'll continue with your early life because I just want to know a bit more about you.
Yeah.
Essentially, so did you have any hobbies at all? Like, what was your favorite sport or art or what did you like doing?
Okay, so sport was a thing that I avoided as a child, and I avoided sport as a child to the point where I think because of all the negativity, especially I'd say in like secondary school, so you're talking like 12, 13, 14, it was because I've experienced a lot of bullying, I kind of refused to interact with people. So basically what I used to do as a kid, or like as a 13-year-old girl, was I kind of used to just quietly sit out of like the PE lessons. So the teachers let me do it because I wasn't like causing like any attitude issues or anything like that. I was just like, oh, I'll do it on my own. I'll do it on my own. Like I used to repeat that phrase all the time to them because I just didn't trust anyone at that age. So like sport was a thing I kind of just avoided. I'd say as a child, my interests and hobbies, I don't know, because it's like, I'm just trying to think really. Like I was definitely say cooking was one of them as like a child. I'd say I was like doing a lot of baking from like a young age. Like those HelloFresh meals, I used to like make a load of them growing up, and I was quite passionate getting into that. I'd say also water sports as well, with being in Cornwall. I guess that's just like a typical thing. So I did. So it was like I did. What was it? So I used to do. So there used to be this thing called like elemental at the Swampole Beach.
Okay.
And it was like this whole water sports thing. So you used to pay, I think it was, what is it, like £60 for like a whole day of water sports. So you're talking like 9 to about 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And this beach was right outside of my grandparents' home. So we're talking like 2 minutes down the road. So I used to, I guess, get involved with a lot of those holiday club activities, which were mainly based for like more tourists than they were locals. And I used to do a lot of that as a child. I used to do a lot of coasteering, so basically coasteering, for people who don't know what coasteering is, it's basically where you're like on a boat and then you climb up a load of like cliff, when you climb up like a load of like safe cliffs and then you jump off the cliff and you jump off to the cliff into the water and you're like doing, and you're using a lot of motor skills of climbing and yeah, so I used to do a lot of that as a child. So kayaking, water sports.
Yeah.
So that was a thing. That was a prominent thing.
That's good. At least you were active. Did it set your mind off things a little?
Yeah, no,
Like
I've never stopped. I've been as, but this is the thing, and I've been quite good at it, even as a child. Like one thing that I didn't want to happen was that I was very adamant that even if I couldn't do it with someone, I will do it on my own and do that thing on my own. I'm not gonna let like going, like me having to go with someone or me relying upon going with someone to do something be the thing to stop me from doing the activity that I want to do. Which I know most people are like, which is where most people experience it like the opposite way, as in they need like someone that they know to go with to do an activity, having that companion, having that friend, having that comfort person. For me, going out with someone who I have no idea who I like genuinely just going out with someone, like just doing like a basic shopping activity, that for me is stressful.
Don't like crowds, kind of.
I don't mind crowds. Like if I happen to be at a festival, happen to be at an event, because like what is it, like a few months back I was like volunteering at these like local festivals. You know how you have like your food fests, you've got like your little like active fests. Like I was out there volunteering, shouting in the street, being like, "Oh, come to this festival." Okay. You know, have a look around. It's like, you know, like
So like, you are social. Nowadays you are a social person. Got customer service.
I'm I've always been a sociable person, despite me having like the lack of friendships and stuff like that. I've always been sociable in my own way, or in a way that I knew that I can be.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I guess it's just trying to think of, you know, like not letting the anxiety, being adamant over the anxiety and not letting that win. So for example, this morning I did I did like a 4K walk or something. It was like 3.5, 4 mile walk.
So you're into fitness then? Doing it?
Yeah, kind of. Like it's like group sports, not as much, but I guess individual sports, which I can do on my own in my own time, more into that. So
you don't go gym, you do everything at home?
Yeah, so it's like I don't go to the gym, but like if I was like if it's like a walk, if it was like a 3-4 mile, 5 mile walk, for example, and then getting a matcha at the end of it, or getting like my iced coffee with like my biscuit or like sweet treat at the end of it, then, you know, that's the sort of thing that I do.
Okay, that's good. Keep it up.
Or it's like, for example, like I do go out drinking, but usually it's by myself, and it would be like myself and the bartender usually having a natter in the bar.
You need to be careful by yourself.
I am careful because there's only a select few places that I'd go to if I was going out drinking, and I'd only be a select few places. But again, like usually, like I know my limits. So it's not as if I get hammered. It's like I'll just go out just for the vibe, seeing who's about. But then, you know, just in hopes that I'd see someone. But then it's like with this whole cost of living crisis, it's like I'm in the opposite situation, in the sense that like I can afford to go out and have that social life. But then you've got other people who have a social life, but then can't afford to go out. So they're now having it at home because that's the only cost-effective way for them to do that, you know?
Yeah. So without saying too much, because you don't have to go fully into it, have you had a love life as of yet?
There has been a sort of one, which was like long distance.
Okay.
With a guy that you have interviewed. I'm not going to go into it too much.
Yeah.
But like just out of respect of his privacy, etc. Yada yada yada. But let's just say that also went pear-shaped, which I'll happily go into more privately.
Again, early life, but your school, junior, secondary school. What were your favorite subjects? I know you liked your hobbies, like you mentioned, but what were your favorite subjects that you enjoyed?
In secondary school, it's definitely child development. because
Okay.
I studied child development in secondary school. Like I had an absolutely amazing teacher in secondary school, and yeah, child development was one of them. I'd say the cookery again was another one, because I did
Yeah.
hospitality and catering, child development. I'd also say science was a grey area, in the sense that like it was like a love-hate relationship with it, because the school that I was at was a very awful school, to put it lightly. And let's just say like there was always like supply teachers coming in, and I was struggling to like define and like like there were supply teachers constantly. And it was like the last year at that school, there was a teacher who kind of came, who was like there at the beginning, like in year 7, and then she came back in year 10 because she went off traveling for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I was really happy when she obviously came back, because she was the only science teacher that I felt really comfortable with in that school.
Yeah. You could
So
freely talk to
half
her
the
about
time
it.
I was like, so half the time, like with the science, I ended up going to this room where I was like doing online e-learning for science. I think they called it like the reflection room or something.
Did you pass
And
your qualifications?
I passed my science, ironically. I didn't pass maths, didn't pass English, and I'm still retaking these now as we speak. Although saying that, I recently did drop out of college for another reason.
Do you want to
Like
talk about
we're
it?
talking
Or...
very. No, we can talk, but we can talk
Okay.
about it here. Recently, I'd say in recent months, so we're talking like November, December, I went through an issue which I'm not gonna mention. And it was quite a horrific issue, which really set me back a lot. Like, I'm not going to go into the detail of it, because there's just, yeah, I'm just out of respect for the person. And then it was like, I kind of was like, I was already falling out of love with this hospitality and catering course that I was doing anyways, because I spent the whole summer working, and then it was like, I spent the whole summer working, and when I was doing 7-day weeks throughout September, and then the shifts dropped immediately because of like the tourist season and stuff. And then it was like I was compared, because of the course being overly too similar to what I was doing at work. I was constantly comparing it anyways, and then like I saw a digression, which then led to a couple of weeks ago with me being diagnosed with autistic burnout.
Oh, wow.
And it's a massive digression, to the point where like I was struggling to cook scones, and I'm doing this level 2 qualifications, and it was like every single thing that I was cooking in that college kitchen I could not cook effectively. Like it was like a massive skill regression, and I'm only just recovering from it now by just like by rediscovering and relearning the things that I enjoy and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just like taking out time for myself by doing yoga, by doing things like yoga, doing things like Pilates, yoga, healing sessions.
Do they work? Like yoga
I
and
don't.
Pilates?
I enjoy yoga, actually,
Yeah, you enjoy it. Okay.
because I'm doing a lot of yoga nidra, which is like more breath based, under blanket yoga. So it's not necessarily focusing on the stretching as such.
Okay.
I'd say that's been really quite helpful in a way, in a way to like navigating like your mind and navigating how it thinks, and
That's what I was going to say, because meditation, sorry. Meditation.
meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're very clued on, you know? You're very clued
Yeah,
on
no,
with
it's
certain
like, for
things,
example,
so
this
I'm happy with
weekend
that.
actually, I am doing a restorative restorative spa day session, actually.
Yeah.
And then which I'm going to be exploring the whole idea of like tapping therapy, which is meant to be quite good, because there's like certain pressure points, from my understanding, there's like certain pressure points in your face, your wrists, your hands, your elbows, your knees, like any part of your body, which apparently like it can unlock like a neurotoxin or something, and it can like relax you in one way or another. Like I don't know overly too much about the detail of it, so I can't go into it. Next month I'm going to this ADHD in women's conference. It's by a company called Seed Talks, which they do events all around the country, Birmingham, Bristol, wherever. They do a load of them.
Okay, so What's the reason to go to these? Like just to get more knowledge?
It's just so that I can understand myself, and I can hopefully meet more people with autism, with ADHD, and then I could kind of find a commonality through experience, and kind of just to understand myself even further to already what I do now, because you can because I think you can understand yourself, but then you can think you understand yourself, but then you go through another situation, and then that mindset changes, and then you realize, oh shit, no, I'm a completely different person. I shouldn't have sworn that.
That's right.
But you're oh, I'm a completely different person. I dealt with this in a way that I didn't even expect myself to even deal with this, and then it changes you. You realize that there's a part of you there which you didn't even know that was there. If I'm making any sense there,
you get more aware
situation.
Things, yeah. I get you. That's wicked. So, you're still young. What is your dreams? Like, what do you want to do when you grow up more? When you get to a certain age?
I don't know, because I'm not going to put, in all honesty, right now, I don't want to put that expectation onto myself, I want to do this, I want to do that, since there's so many new career options out there. There's so many different things out there, but I don't want to get myself onto a hyper focus, I need to do this, I need to do that. I want to try it all. And
I want to try it all.
Discover. I want to try it all and be optimistic, because I know there's so many things which I've been so closed-minded to do in the past, because I'm hold on, no, because of this person or that thing's happened when I've done something similar. So I'm hold on, you know what? I'm trying to be more open-minded.
What do you wish people understood about the spectrum?
On a general perspective, I think it's understanding that the spectrum isn't linear. Mm-hmm. The people usually think that I've got Asperger's, so I've got autism. It's all it's like a spectrum. Think of a spider web. If you were to have a middle of a spider web, and then you were to disperse that spider web. Let's just say someone could be autistic and non-verbal, but yeah, they could have very high mobility issues, and they need a lot of support. Say with clothing, textures, food, they could be absolutely fine. They could have no issue with with eating, and no issue with textures. Now, the neurotypical person, from my understanding, they'll be okay. It may be they may think that an issue with textures and food could be it could be let's just take boba, for example. Boba tea, bubble. Let's just say bubble tea. Yep. Pick one thing and be I've got an issue with with that texture, but I'll be fine with everything else. It's the majority of texture and sensory issues. Usually, it's got to be on a consistent basis, if that makes sense. It's not one individual thing.
It's more
I don't like this one individual thing. It's for example.
Yeah, like you said, it's spiderweb. It's a perfect analogy. Big love to Ella, man. Appreciate you. Are you
honestly
nervous?
Big love to you as well, Trips.
Yeah. Are you nervous or anything, or are you okay?
No, I'm not nervous at all. I just went into this side with a complete open mind, optimism, and I was just you know what? I haven't done something like this since I was about 13, because I sent you that video. Of this presentation that I did, this conference with a girl. I don't know if she is watching at all, but we ended up working on this PowerPoint in the school. I guess I can go into this whole story about and how that came about.
I remember you when we were talking in the DMs. You did show me that the YouTube.
Yeah, I did send you the links to that.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, no, it's it's a very old video, so.
Okay, well, if you want to, talk about it.
So the girl who I did it with, actually, her dad used to be the assistant head teacher of the school. So the school were right, okay, we know this girl. We want you to do this PowerPoint as a conference thing. So these people at this conference can understand autism from a young person's perspective at 13. Mm-hmm. So I was just okay, cool, interesting. So then her and I kind of got talking, and then we were really hyper focused on getting this PowerPoint to the best of our ability, completely done. We were allowed to sit in one of the spare offices within the school.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that we were grinding on this, because I probably did I don't know, like starting at 9, finishing at like 6 p.m. So I probably didn't get back home till like 6, 7 p.m. at like 13, as we were just kind of like low-key working on this. And then it was like, it was when we were presenting this PowerPoint, it was quite daunting in the sense that we happened to be the youngest in the room by about 20 years, I'd say, from my recollection. Like, it was at a nice hotel. It was at the Bedroof and Steps. You feel free to Google it. It's at the Bedroof and Steps Hotel. It was a really nice outlook. So, and it was just like, you know, like, it was like, oh my goodness, okay, wow, this is an opportunity. So that's kind of how that was. And then we did like a pre-conference before that, where we ended up showing it to a lot of the people in the school. And I recall doing that at a young age. And I think that definitely brought a load of confidence. Yet it was also, but it also kind of backfired as well, since people were saying, oh, okay, this girl's doing this PowerPoint, when we've all known her as like the quiet kid who reacts really strangely and weirdly. Now she's out here doing a PowerPoint thinking like she's all confident. So then that actually resulted in a lot of bullying kind of after that, which was quite a strange one to like navigate, I guess, because we were getting all bigged up by the teachers and the lecturers.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, okay, this PowerPoint's really good, etc. This is a really good thing. Yeah, the reaction of the school was awful.
The reaction of the school was awful. So
yeah, the
like
reaction
the
of
teachers
the school was awkward.
and all that.
No, not teachers, but like
Just
students in the school.
Okay.
It was like because it was like
kids. Kids are
yeah, it's
evil
just
people,
kids
man.
it's just kids being kids.
Yeah, kids are just being kids, literally. But you don't think anything of it until you older and realize.
And then it was just like, we didn't think anything of it because we were literally working our asses off to try and like produce some form of PowerPoint which kind of seemed like adult at like 13, and we're walking into this adult environment, and it was like the first thing that we both looked at each other like, wow, when we went into this hotel, because it was serving these like bayo buns and stuff. So we were loading up on his food before the interview, before this like interview / conference, and then we were like standing there as two 13-year-old girls do, just being like, oh my goodness, what have we just done?
It was a good PowerPoint. In my opinion, it was good. It's just crazy, like, certain people, like, you can be the quietest person in the room, but that doesn't mean that you can't do certain things. And when they see that you do certain things, they just think, huh, really? No, we're just going to put you down a little bit because that's where you should be. That is terrible to me. What is the biggest misconception about autism?
I'd say from my age group is that you can't do is that people assume, oh, you're autistic, you can't perform well in this, you can't perform well in that. So I kind of delayed telling my boss about it. I told him as I got diagnosed with this burnout thing. I told him then. Yeah. So we're talking in the last couple of weeks. But I told him because it's like when you're in Cornwall and when the job market is so scarce as what it is, if you put that you're autistic, although they're quote unquote not allowed to like discriminate you against neurodivergency and stuff, they do. They still do. Yeah. Like when you if you put you're autistic on the CV, they'll disclose over that and be like, yeah, no, we're not we're not even going to give this girl an interview. And it was funny because it was like, my aunt and I had this like massive rant about it, because she was like, I need to tell them because they have a legal obligation that they need to hire you if you're neurodivergent. I'm just like, no, they don't. I mean, they do, but they don't, if that makes sense. Like, it's something that it is legal, but then like people override that.
Behind closed doors, they will say no. I get it.
Yeah, behind closed doors, they'll say no, but they won't give you a reason.
So overall, was your family, besides your mum and dad, of course, but was your family accepting of, your disorder, if you like me to say that?
You can say disorder. Yeah. I'd say they were very accepting of it. I couldn't have asked for more of a supportive family. Like I couldn't have asked for any more, in the sense that like it was like when I first got diagnosed, what was it? Dad was like doing a master's degree in autism. Brother was like getting his head around it since he was only like 8 or 9 years old. So, I wasn't really expecting too much of it, but he's dealt with it really, really well, bless him. like the situations that he's kind of like had to like backhand experience because of myself. He, like, honestly, much love to you, Harry. He's in my life right now. I say much love to you. So big up Hazza. With my aunts, they were really, really supportive as well. Like in the sense that she was just like, right, okay, Ella, we need to do X, Y, and Z. We need to do this. We need to do that. And also I'd also say my grandmother, again, very, very supportive. Although obviously, because she's like 80 and a part of that generation and stuff, and it took her a while to get her head around it. When she kind of got her head around it, she was very supportive from them. But I've never ever received any negativity. It's just, you know, because my parents are, what is it, in their 50s, it's just that generational thing, kind of get your head around it, etc. Yada yada yada. It's just that generational thing of trying to understand it, and obviously as you get older, you get more set in your ways and stuff. So it's just trying to learn. It's learning how to unlearn and relearn, which is obviously a lot easier when you're younger.
Yeah, I understand that. It's crazy because relatively, it's not that long ago. Like during even my mum's age, your mum and dad's age, there was a time where they used to laugh at disabled people. They used to laugh at them. Like if you couldn't get up like stairs, they just laugh at you. It's just crazy the world that we used to live in back then. Even for like, you know, for certain stuff like racism and many other things, we have come a long way, but there's still a lot of things that need to change. So yeah, you are right when it comes to mental. Sorry for cutting you off, but when it comes to like mental health in general, yeah, it's getting a lot better now, and people are aware of certain things now. So it is great. It's great to hear because mental health is a thing. It is definitely a thing, and now it's actually very apparent that certain people do need help and awareness to spread it. So big love for the interview again, man. Like honestly, I think it's also big love.
I think it's also big love to all the celebrities and all the people who have like come out and expressing that they're like autistic and stuff. Because obviously, because when you have a platform of like 2, 3 million, 4 million followers, and you've got a platform of people getting to know you based off like your music, let's just say like Billie Eilish, I'm just trying to think, like all these like other people.
Yeah.
Even Mark Zuckerberg, who's like created Instagram, Facebook, Amazon, they're all autistic people, and like people need to people are seeing the world but part of the world that we live in, or a segment of our online industry, is being built around from autistic people. I think that's been like a really big help for like people to really like accept that, in the sense that like, you know, in the sense that you do have like your hyperactive, higher functioning people who are great on like a screen stance, but then if they like interact with you in person, they struggle a lot, you know.
Yeah. Would you call yourself high functioning?
I'd say I bet I am, in the sense that like I'd say that I am, yeah, in the sense that like I've got very low support needs relative to like most people who are diagnosed as autistic. The people, if you look at them and they see and they happen to like walk about with people who are like autistic, who like, so people are, like my dad used to support back in 2020, 2021, 2022. I've definitely got like a lower need of support, but my support is very different.
So what is a normal day for you?
Okay, so a good day for me would be obviously a sunny day, of course. Like weather 100% plays a part, like it does in most people's life. I'd say a good day for me would be like a good average day. It'd be me going out for a walk, getting a matcha, doing either yoga, Pilates, going and just practically living my life. You know, just literally, I think just going out, it would just be like an average good day would be with myself, be going out, getting myself a matcha, walking, maybe doing a couple of miles, kind of like around. Like that is like, I'd say that is like my average, like good sunny day kind of thing.
Yeah, you said the weather controls your mood. So what?
Yeah,
but summer or winter? Summer or winter?
Obviously, I'm a summer girl.
You're a summer girl. All right. Yeah. Can you tell me why?
I think I I think quite a few people have it, especially in the UK. It's called SAD, so it's called something like seasonal. It's called like seasonal mood dependent disorder.
Seasonal
SAD.
mood dependent disorder. That's new.
Yeah.
That is-
So it's
what?
so it's so, so basically what it is like when obviously because we've got obviously like we lack a lot of sunlight in the UK.
Yeah, of course.
So during the during the winter, because people aren't going out, because obviously we're meant to be social beings, and people are going and people are going out. People aren't really going out during the winter and stuff because of it being too cold, it being too rainy, and like stuff like and stuff like that. Like for me, if it's raining, I don't want to go out. It's just it's just a sad day. So hence why people call it sad.
Are there things people find easy that are harder for you? You said certain things.
Yeah,
think.
so I'd say
So-
I'd say when it comes to like I'd say social interactions is one. That's social interactions I'd say is one. I'd say navigating new situations.
Yeah.
So it's just say, for example, like if you happen to be put into a situation which you weren't expecting on the spot, and it happened, and you genuinely weren't anticipating it, and you don't know how to like deal with it, I'd be like, hold on, like how on earth am I meant to deal with this? So my first point of contact would be to be like, would be to call mum, just so I can try and liaise with her to be like, right, okay, this is what I'm going through right now. How on earth do I deal with this? I'd say that would be one thing. I'd say another thing which I'd say that I'd find more difficult is the social interaction side of things. When you haven't been around it, and you haven't experienced a lot of things, which I'd say like my brother has experienced firsthand at his age, like just general normal things like hanging out with your like I guess going to a shop with your mates, hanging around them, and then you having to like be in a situation like that. I'd say that's like the main struggle which I've like kind of faced really. Anything that's like unexpected as well. I work in hospitality, right? I work at a waitress for a grid company. I'm not going to mention the name, but like I work as a waitress, and sometimes I have to encounter drunk people, and sometimes it's like the first time me ever seeing this type of drunkenness in this type of way.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm having to like sometimes I'm having to deal with that, or I'm having to deal with like an interaction, or having to deal with a look that I've never seen before, or having to deal with something like that, which I think understanding certain facial expressions for me is a very difficult thing to navigate, because if it's like a new facial expression, especially if it's on, let's just say, I think race and ethnicity play a lot into it as well for me personally, because it's one facial expression that means one thing to one person may mean a different thing to another person. I've had to realise that, and I've had to learn from that, and I've had to grow from that. So there's also that as well. I'm saying this in the most respectful way possible, because if you happen to be like around like an Italian person where their like social interactions are slightly different, you've got to be prepared for that. And there's also that tone of voice as well, because I rely a lot on tone of voice to distinguish a mood of someone. Sometimes where I'll walk into a room and I'll misread the mood completely because of a simple tone of voice which I'm not expecting, or a tone of conversation, or a facial expression that I've completely misread, because I'm used to this facial expression meaning this, but then that being intuitive to like most neurotypical people, if that makes sense.
Would you think of yourself as an overthinker?
Oh, trust me, yeah, I am an overthinker. My overthinking's definitely intuitive, in the sense that like I have a lot of time to myself, and I spend a lot of time with myself, which I mean, a lot of people spending too much time to yourself, like most things in life. I think if you spend too much time with something, then spend too much time doing something, it becomes a bad thing. You can do so many good things, and you could do, let's just say like drinking water, for example. This is like the most common example I could think of. There's a healthy amount of water that you can drink. You're encouraged to drink a load of water, but if you drink too much, then it's bad for you. If you have too much fruit, it's bad for you. If you have too much of something, it can also be bad for you.
That's with everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like with every single thing that comes with life.
It's hard to balance it, right?
Yeah, so it's that balance. I've struggled with a lot in my life.
Are there things you are exceptionally good at because of how your brain works?
Now, this is actually quite a controversial one. I'd say empathy, in the
Okay.
sense that like people with autism are quote unquote known to lack empathy when it comes to certain things and comes to certain people. For me, I'd say growing up, I'd say empathy has always been a strong thing, in the sense that like growing up I used to be a part of the school choir, and I used to go to these care homes. I used to go to these like old people's residential homes, and we used to perform in these like and I grew up seeing older people in a vulnerable position. So some of them had dementia, some of them are struggling with life. And a good example personally to me, rest in peace to my grandfather, was I grew up with a lot of hospital visits from like a very young age. So we're talking like I was like 6, visiting my grandfather in hospital in like an emergency trauma ward. Not many people, I'd say, would have, not many 6-year-olds would have been able to cope with that. But then I think from a young age, with the kind of like calm nature that I had, I came across a lot older than most 6-year-olds when it kind of came to that.
So you're saying that for
Because
certain kids
with certain type of
yeah,
scenario, with certain scenarios,
yeah,
I can be really I can be more empathetic than most people, and like it kind of contradicts it, because if you search autism and empathy and like the stereotype of autism is, oh yeah, no, my autistic child like lacks like a load of empathy, which I can tell you for most autistic people and most like people who have neurodivergence, I can say that's completely far from the truth.
that's a good trait.
It's a good trait, definitely, but it's like, for example, they may struggle to show it on like a human basis, but they'll show it in like animals and stuff, because obviously I don't know if you've ever seen like the whole concept of like animal therapy and like
I've heard of
like
it.
people let's just say if you see like a dog in town, for example, or you happen to be walking about, you see a dog in town, dogs usually come up to me. Like it's not like it's a usual thing, because they can feel that energy, because dogs have like this thing and like this sensation to like feel like a certain type of energy, It's like people say like young innocent children who don't know anything about life can identify who the right people are. And I can say that's very, very true.
I assume because you were just saying about it like probably an hour ago or something like that. Not even an hour ago, like say 40 minutes ago. Because since you're empathetic, do people take the P word out of that? Because they use that as
I'd say some people do.
as a
I mean, there's
weakness.
definitely been scenarios where that's definitely happened. There's been scenarios where people have put me into a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it at the time that it was, and because I felt so bad for that person. Let's just say people taking advantage of me for money and stuff. I felt so bad for that person that I just did it anyways, because I couldn't fathom the thought of someone going hungry, or I couldn't fathom that someone was living in a poor situation, and I happened to be the fortunate one growing up with the things that I grew up with, and the things that I've experienced.
Did you have everything that you wanted growing up?
I'd say I was very fortunate to have most things. Let's just say, for example, the childhood home which I grew up with, which was very, very fortunate to grow up with, was like a seafront view property.
Mm-hmm.
So even from my current home now, I am like within 2-minute, like literally 30-second walking distance from the sea at the moment.
Sick.
And this is like this is what most people would dream to grow up with. Like the home had a lot of land, a lot of acreage, and people. I think I've always lived in a nice home. I've been very, very fortunate to always have my own room, to have.
Have you lived? Is this the same place that you always lived at, or you moved?
We've now moved, but the place that I live. So basically, I'm talking about 3 different homes at once here.
Okay.
So I'm talking about my grandmother's home. So it's like my grandmother's home. The home that I lived in before I moved to the place I live now, and then the place I live now, if that makes sense. The home that I lived in before this home currently, it was a nice property. It didn't have a sea view, but it was a really, really nice property. We're talking parking, we're talking a decent sized garden, we're talking a kitchen island in the kitchen, for example. And people saw that, you know.
So would you call your mum and dad middle class? Or
I don't know. Like I think we're like up. I think we're up. I'd say we're definitely comfortable.
We definitely
Like,
comfortable. Okay.
we're definitely comfortable.
It's all right to ask, what did they do, if you don't mind?
So my parents currently
Without saying
own
their
a
business.
guest house.
Yeah.
They currently own a guest house. They're currently in a guest house in Cornwall. I'm not going to say which one for privacy reasons and stuff. But like they own a guest house in Cornwall, and it allows them to kind of be working about 6 months of the year and have 6 months off.
Okay.
So it's like if I need something, I can ask them.
You're good. I'm just thinking, in a parallel universe, what would you be like? Because your whole experience, of course, will be either worse or good, depending. Besides the trauma that you've already mentioned, like you had an overall
let's just say like I live a very good life, and I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very, very grateful, and I recognize that, and I keep on saying that to them, in the sense that it's just like I'm very, very fortunate to have hardworking parents, to have this lifestyle that I live in. Like if we wanted to go away, if we wanted to go abroad for a week, then we could do that. But you know, I'm very, very fortunate to have the lifestyle that I live,
and that's good. And you should never take that away. And
I fully recognize that as well. And like I think for me, discovering that from like at a later age that other people didn't live that lifestyle, for me that was a real shock. So
that's what I was gonna say, because that's where it comes in. I could be wrong here, but any person that's had the same childhood as you they could turn up stuck up. They just we wouldn't care about other people's lives too tough. So for you to come onto the pod and actually experience and say, you had a good childhood, you had some bad apples or whatever.
I'm not gonna say that. And I'm not going to say that, you know, how I judge a person is I judge them for how they are as a person. Honestly, like the way that a person lives, the way that like anyone lives, or the way that, you know, or how they grew up, and that doesn't define who they are. That's not a thing that defines you. Because like I'm not gonna sit there and judge a person for the home that they live in. I'm not gonna do that, because what is the point? Because there's so much more to a person throughout their experience and throughout what they've gone through. We all live different lives. And that's something that I really, really do think about constantly.
You ain't wrong. You've got a good mind. You got a perfect mind. I would say it is a good trait to have empathy, but a lot of people don't deserve it. That's one thing I will say.
No,
when you get older,
so I guess
you
going
will
to
realise that when you're older.
Anything that I experienced in Gloucester, which was for me that was a massive shock.
Do you experience sensory overload? And what does that feel like? What does it feel like for you when you have sensory overload?
Okay, so for me, sensory overload, I can say this as a child and as an adult, because it definitely has changed. So I'd say as a child, it used to be like massive crowds used to really affect me, and like being like in a group of like really like noisy loud people. Like it could be like the natter of a classroom. So I'd say sensory overload was practically me having to like run and escape.
Yeah.
Like it's very much fight or flight. So like it's like I feel overly overwhelmed to the point I'm like I would do something very irrational during that period. So let's just say a time when I really experienced this, and this is actually before my diagnosis of autism. When I was 14, a situation happened. It was like I was in the process of getting diagnosed with autism. and I was quite overwhelmed by it. And then it was like there was this one thing that really set me off in the home, and then I was like standing up in my room, like overthinking it. So I was like standing up in my room, I was like overthinking it, and at the time, like I had these like screen time restrictions on my phone because mum didn't really know what autism was about and like how much I rely on like my phone as like a thing to like cure my sensory overload as such. So I was like stewing in my mind. I was like stewing the situation, overthinking in my mind. So then what did I do? I ended up walking out the house in my pajamas. Like not even like proper shoes, and we were talking like slippers.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that this beach was about, I'd say like a 2-3 mile walk. So with these slippers on, I walked through a woods. I I literally because to get to the certain beach, I had to walk through a woods. I had to
Okay.
walk through another beach, and then which is like another walkway through another set of woods. And this was at like we're talking like 3 a.m. in the morning, so it was dark out. I didn't have my phone. I was literally in my head. I was like, I need to get to a beach. I need to get to a beach, and it was my hyper focus on getting to a beach. And I just kind of sat there. Mum and dad clocks it. Mum and dad clocks it. I don't even know what time they clocks it. But I ended up just sitting there on this beach, and I was just like, I was questioning what I was doing, but I was just like so overwhelmed. I was just like, I just needed just to have that like sensory touch of the sand and like the water on my feet for me to feel sane. And then it was like mum and dad ended up calling the police because I ended up walking out. It was completely unexpected. Like I didn't tell anyone. Like it was a complete like impulsive, spare of a moment decision for me to do that.
So you were safe, right? Because that could have went
I probably
left.
wasn't safe.
Yeah.
In the sense there was like no one out. I mean, something could have happened, but in the sense of like it was like a safe area to like. If I were to do it in London at 13, I probably would have been kidnapped. I probably would have been kidnapped or something, or like if I
Yeah.
were to do it in Gloucester, London, or like a city area, then yeah, it wouldn't be safe for me at all. But like, I'm glad. Let's just say, in hindsight, I'm glad I did it in the area that I did it in, and not it being like a city or like a random country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that.
I was so overwhelmed by this whole thing. I was just like, so it's like I ended up walking to and back from this bit from one beach to another.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, it's like, and bearing in mind this walkway is like a mile long, so we're talking like I ended up walking from one from 1 mile to another, from one like literally like to and fro.
Yeah.
No one was out, and then I walked to the third beach because there's like a third beach, like literally just like along another set of walkway.
Wait, so how many beaches did you go to?
I almost ended up going to 4 beaches in
You
one
went
night.
to 4 beaches. Wait, it's how old were you?
Yeah, I was about 13
You were
when this happened.
13.
Yeah,
Glad nothing happened to you. But
yeah.
that
I'm glad nothing happened
is,
to me as well.
it was like you were on some quest or something. Like,
No, because people could have thought quite easily, but this girl was on D word, D6 letter word.
yep.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying.
Yeah. Say no more. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like and it was like mum ended up calling the women's because I happened to be hanging out with that girl who I did the autism PowerPoint the day beforehand. She ended up calling the women's mother because mum happened to know the women's mother. And then bless her, she lived about, what is it? I'd say 8 miles away. So then she drove 8 miles to one of the beaches. I saw her, and then I walked straight back to the other beach. A police guy found me.
So when your mum and dad were happy that you're safe, what was the interaction like?
With the police guy or with them after this situation happened?
Yeah, with them after the situation.
In all honesty, I think I was so shocked that I did that. I actually don't recall. I think it was more relief in the sense that I was here, I was home safe, and I was back.
Mm-hmm.
From my recollection, it was definitely more relief. But like, in all honesty, I don't actually recall the whole interaction between them or with them because of that situation, because of me having that like whole like visual recollection of what happened in the situation, like having that vivid memory.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't. So
You don't recall what exactly happened.
yeah, I don't actually recall
Yeah.
like what, like word for word, or like what the react. I think it was just more like relief, and then it was more shock than anything
Oh yeah,
else.
that. So did you feel accomplished when you went to 4 beaches?
I think I was just like, well, I was just trying to get my head back into a normal headspace.
Okay.
That was the main aim of it. Trying to get my head back into like a normal headspace, because it was like half of these emotions like I'd never experienced before. So it was like trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I'd say like as a child, it was like I think I'd say like some emotions. Let's just say like let's just say being confused, or the feeling of being lost and stuff. I didn't experience that at all. I think I just experienced happiness, sadness. I think, and there's definitely like an emotional delay
Yeah.
as like a child. So but I'd say the emotional delay was more prominent. I'd say when I was like 13, like trying like half the time being oblivious and being overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't identify what emotion was what, or how I was feeling. Like, oh Ella, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling okay. Like, what does okay look like? And I wasn't able to define what okay looked like. And this was like through, and the only reason how I was able to define how I was feeling and what emotion was what was just through research and through like and just literally researching what emotions are. I had to Google that as a
You had to
child.
Google that. Oh,
I had
as a
to
child,
Google
yeah.
that.
As a child, yeah. I get it.
I was like a child and as like a teenager, I had to Google like what half of these emotions were. I had to Google on like TikTok, like, okay, what does this facial expression mean? Like, so if you look at my search history as a child, as like a teenager on my phone, it wasn't like the typical shopping search history. It was trying to like just, because this was before Chat GPT was like a prominent thing and I knew it existed. I was trying to Google in like a Google search engine, like, how would you describe this facial expression, because I didn't even know what was what. Like if you were to put a load of emojis in front of me, I couldn't answer that. As a child, I wasn't able to answer what any of those meant.
So now, are you good with body language now?
I'd say I'm a lot better than what I was. Like I'd say that there's still like issues and stuff. It's like as I'm still like learning and understanding. But I'd say I'm a lot better now to what I was like 5 years ago. So like pre-COVID, pre-diagnosis, I'd say about 100%.
What's something people say that they think is harmless, but actually isn't?
I don't actually like. In all honesty, I don't actually know with this one because I've got quite thick-skinned things. So I think if you're looking at this from a general perspective, I think it's all dependent on the person. I think it's genuinely all dependent on the person who has autism, whether they're offended to something, or not, or whether someone said something or something like that. Because I think we all have our own different levels of tolerance. I've got a very high tolerance. Because of all bullying, because of there being a lot of things said to me. For example, if I were to mention, let's just say the words R word, for example, like I'm just using that as a caution. A lot of autistic people would be offended by that. Like I don't
Have
know
you
if
had
you
that a
got what I
lot?
mean.
I,
I've had that a lot, and there was like a part of me was like when I first got called it, like I was really confused by what it meant. So again, like it was just like again this was like the lack of social interaction that I grew up with because half of these slurs and half of these like racial things, which I'd say most people were like aware of, especially like I didn't even know what they meant until I had to Google it. So it wasn't like, oh, I could ask a friend, oh, okay, what does this mean?
Yeah, well, it's all ignorance.
It's all genuinely ignorance, and
Yeah.
people are like, oh yeah, no, but you should know what that means, Ella.
Yeah, as you said earlier, in this world, very smart people, some of them are autistic. So
Yeah,
it's just
I think a lot of it is I think a lot of it is ignorance in the sense that like I discovered a lot of things which I think a lot of people would have experienced later in life. I'd say from like maybe 12 to 13, I think a load of people, it's like, I think there was a lot of things that I think people like understanding. Let's just say, for example, like memes and stuff. I discovered memes through TikTok and not just when TikTok and Musical.ly were a thing. Did I know what they meant? No, because no one was there to explain them to me, because I was randomly added into like a load of group chats and someone figured out my number or something.
Yeah.
So like half of these memes and half of these things, like I'm practically like a Gen X boomer when it comes to most of that stuff, because I didn't know what it meant in that context and things like that. So that was an interesting one to navigate. Oh yeah, also like things like text like abbreviations and stuff as well. So like, you know, like, so it's like art, like IRL in real life, but I don't know, and all of them. Like, it took me a while to get to kind of get to that.
Yeah.
Like I now know them all now, but even now, like some of the newer ones that are coming out, I'm finding myself Googling them because I genuinely did not know what they meant until.
Oh, so you didn't know what in real life IRL
I didn't
streams
know
were?
I didn't know what that meant. Like I was completely oblivious.
I think
Oblivious to
you're
it.
not the only one though. There's not many people that would know. It's not really if you're in London or maybe Bristol, like bigger cities, then people would know about it a little bit. Even Gloucester, a lot of people don't know what it is. So what support has helped you the most? Of course, your mother, obviously your dad, they helped you a lot. But what has helped you the most?
Okay, so for me, I've definitely been lucky enough with some the majority of the education system had failed me, but I'd say there's definitely a few teachers and lecturers who definitely did support me during my diagnosis for autism. And I'd say I'm just trying to think. I think online has been the biggest support thing, in the sense that I think when people have like been speaking out about it online, I'd say that just knowing that I'm not alone. Like I knew I wasn't alone, but like it's like feeling it's attempting to feel, because there's a difference between feeling and knowing, which I think people find difficult. You know.
Yeah, a lot better now. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's a lot better now. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think society is becoming more understanding? Kinda. We did sprinkle
yes.
a little bit of it, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think yes and no. I think to a certain extent, I think from the older generation, I think they are definitely becoming more understanding. So I think anyone who's like in their, I'd say 30s, 40s, 50s are definitely understanding that. But I think you know, obviously I've seen the meme going about, oh, I've got ADHD, or like, oh, because when you're showing like 2 to 3 traits of having ADHD. I think part of it is definitely joked about, which I mean, like, fair enough, because if you're like trying to comprehend something new, then obviously you joke about it first, just to kind of, you know, get your head around something, and then you kind of look into it.
You sprinkled some of it already, especially your empathy. So what other strengths? What strengths come from being autistic? So for you, what strengths do you have?
Okay, so I'd say another strength that I have is I'm just trying to think actually how to word it in all honesty. I'd say it's definitely trying to look at something from another perspective, which most people who happen to be neurodivergent definitely struggle with, and I think I'm trying to overcome that. I'm trying to really overcome that and look at things from other perspectives. As when I was younger, I was very much all set in my ways, very much like a stubborn person who wasn't really interested in like change or interested in that, and I'm really trying to open up my horizons, in other words.
So what have you learned so far then?
I think one of the first things I'd say it's definitely stereotypes. So I was like, people with autism are X, Y, and Z. I'm not X, Y, and Z, because during my diagnosis I was going through a state of denial with certain things. And it's just like, no, I'm not that. When I happened to be something, but I genuinely thought I wasn't. I think there are some traits that I had which I almost refused to admit that I had.
Going from what you were saying, some of the stereotypes. Can you say some of the stereotypes that you don't have?
The only boy stereotype. I think when people think of autism, they think of, oh, okay, it's more male predominant. In the sense that males like usually show a lot of like more like hyperactivity and more of like a silliness, which is usually brushed, which is, I'd say, to an extent of like, as like if you were to think of yourself as like a young child, there may have been some like extra, I'd say, embarrassing moments or really like unusual behaviors, which I think boys would like display in a very different way. But I'd say that autism in females is misdiagnosed a lot, in the sense that typically, especially like with high functioning females, like a lot of it is masked. A lot of the behavior is masked. You're trying to fit in with the crowd, but then you're not a part of the crowd, and you're trying to do everything in your power to fit in. I think that dawns on you more as like a teenager.
You're matching their energy. You're matching people's energy.
Yeah, you're trying to match people's energy, but then that's not coming across. That's the way of describing it. It's actually a really good wording. You're trying to match that energy. You're trying to be someone who you're not authentically not, because you don't know who you are, and then you kind of get like really, really lost within yourself. So another thing is like stimming. So like stimming with like your hand movements. So you've probably it's just, I think if you've been in like a room as like a child and you happen to see people like flapping their hands like uncontrollably, or like, you know, some form of like repetitive movement, whether that's for a repetitive sound, whether that's for a repetitive thing, which is a form of stimming, and it could be like, it could be a physical thing, or it could be like listening to the same song like on repeat for like days upon days upon days, and it's the same song, trying to get that like same like stimulation. People usually view that as like a negative, in the sense that like, why on earth is this person doing it? It's weird, they should stop. Like over the SPA word.
Right.
I don't want to say that because of I think TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah. Stimming is a form of like regulation. It's a way of like autistic people regulating who they are and how they are. I'd say that that's a stereotype, and you've got to be stimming to be autistic. And I'm like, no, you don't. I used to do it a lot when I was younger. Yeah. Now it's like when it's like learning to unmask, is to learning to stim and regulate myself instead of just bottling it all up and then just kind of like having a massive outburst like I did.
I hear you. If you bottle it up like a bottle, eventually it's gonna blow. So it's gonna blow. So I guess it's just like gradually. It's learning how to deal with your emotions in the moment, and I think that's something which I mean, like even people with like depression and like other disorders struggle with. It's dealing with you. It's dealing with who you are and how you are. So with your emotions now, are they controlled, or is it
I'd say they are for like
blow it up? Yeah.
I'd say they are for the most part. I'd say working in hospitality and being around like
hospitality is a lot of work.
Yeah,
that is.
I'd say being around that environment and having to force yourself to be theatrical around other people.
Okay.
I'd say that has been a real help with that, because I think that's really helped me control my own emotions.
Yeah.
In a way where I probably wasn't able to before, even working in the industry that I work in the sense that like there were certain behaviors that I was displaying constantly, and then it was like hold on. It's a journey of getting to know yourself and who you are, and I think that there's certain things that obviously shape you as a person and everyone else as a person.
Is this your first job, hospitality?
I would say that it's my first proper job as such.
How many jobs have you had so far?
Proper jobs, I'd say about 4, but I was working within the festival and event industry for quite a while. So I've been doing like 4 days of work here, 4 days of work there, 2 days of work here, a day of work here, a day of work there. So it's been very sporadic. And if you work in the event industry, especially in like somewhere like Cornwall, like it's very inconsistent. In the sense that obviously you've got like festivals going, because in the sense you've got your local festivals, and the majority of it, bearing in mind, was voluntary, so I wasn't being paid for it. Obviously I'm young, the job market is ridiculous at the moment, especially like, as in like this year now is like the highest unemployment rate for like 18 to 25 year olds. It's like 55% of 18 to 25 year olds are like unemployed.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah, and it's just like, so I was just like, hold on, I was just like, how on earth do I fast track this? So my way of solving it was to work in a load of festivals and events just so I can have a load of different like references on my CV. Spoiler alert, it didn't work because I ended up going through about 32 interviews to get the job I'm in now.
You like music?
Yeah.
What sort of music are you into?
R&B. I love my R&Bs, love my D&Bs, and very much, I don't know, very much sporadic actually with my music. Like I love the underground rap scene. Really into that underground rap scene. I'd say. Also, I love my. I'm just trying to think what the type of genre is. Like it's very like all rounded.
Mm-hmm.
Say one moment I could be listening to like a really like classical, I could be listening to like classical R&B, and then the next moment I'm listening to the complete opposite. Like right now I'm like really interested in Swedish house.
Swedish house.
Quite,
What's the
yeah.
difference? What? That's interesting. So you got different ranges of music taste. That's
Yeah,
pretty
no,
good.
trust me. I've got
But
if you look at
that
my
doesn't really surprise me
Spotify.
though. It doesn't really surprise me because most people on the spectrum kind of do. So when you listen to music, do you listen to the sonics? If you know what I mean by that, like you hearing like different instruments with how
Yeah, no,
the bass
I'm hearing
sounds in
different
your ear or
instruments, yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's very much like sometimes like sometimes I'll break it down because like I'll list because it's just say like I love listening to like non-lyrical tunes.
Okay.
So like think of just like your classics, like think about your classic and just trying to think music without words.
Instrumentals.
Instrumentals, that's the word. Instrumental. So I'll have a habit of let's just say like listening to like the instrumental and then also the non-instrumental version of that song. The instrumental versions of the songs. I can hear about 10 different songs in my head coming from that one beat, which is insane. I think for most people they can find that quite overwhelming, but because I'm kind of, and to begin with I found that really overwhelming as well when I started listening to like the instrumental versions of the music, but now it's just like it's weird, like you're almost getting like a concert in your mind. So it's just that's the kind of like way and like the vibe of my music that I kind of listen to. So hence where like I post a lot of like instrumental stuff to like my Instagram stories, because I'm just like, hold on, this makes more sense to the vibe that like the photo or the video is giving, but I happen to share, for example, because I'm like it just makes more sense in my mind.
Do you think of yourself like a perfectionist?
I do, but I don't. Like it really depends. Like I can either be a really messy person and like it could look really discombobulated, and everyone else could be like, oh my goodness, Ella, that looks really overwhelming. Or something on a plate could look really quite immaculate. There's no hybrid. It's either one. It's like one extreme or the other. There's genuinely no hybrid between it. Like something could look immaculate. It could be like the perfect. It could be the most perfect thing. Or in my personal perspective, it could be the perfect thing ever, or it could be the most messed up thing ever. There's an example of it actually. So there was like a few weeks ago, I did this cake decorating event. This was like, as I first dropped out of college. I came in with it thinking, oh, okay, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z. And then I couldn't, when I was doing this cake decorating event, because of me being in the hospitality and catering course, the last thing I wanted to do was X, Y, and Z and actually show my skills. So I ended up creating this really awful looking cake, and I was embarrassed by it myself, but then it was almost like I almost felt a sense of relief while doing it, because it was like, oh, I've just dropped out of college, I'm doing this as a thing to pay back something. I hated the way it looks, but
what did it look like? What did it look like?
It didn't look bad. It almost looked like a sunset on a cake. I may have a photo of it, I may not.
Okay. Is there something you're proud of overcoming? Sure, you sprinkled some of it already.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of things that I can say, but I'm proud of overcoming. I'd say one thing that I'm proud of overcoming is not letting the judgment hit me. Growing up being known by a lot of people for just existing and not having a conversation with someone, and then going into a room where it's like, let's just say, as a child, sometimes I used to walk into a classroom and like people would have just shouting my name for no reason, me thinking it was a personal attack or something. So when I came back out really overwhelmed, and it's now like if people had shut my name now, I wouldn't think anything of it. So I think it's overcoming the things that I felt overwhelmed by. I think that's an achievement personally, which I can really
Big
feel.
facts, and that's good. That's good that you realize that now, because a lot of people don't get that. Like, if you have a problem, you need to overcome it. You gotta battle it some
Yeah.
way
So
or another. That's how you
yeah,
get yourself out of that, deep end. You gotta
I
swim.
think it's really
Like,
I think it's having that I think it's like resilience and having that mindset
a lot
and
of
this
people
is like the
don't.
whole changing mindset thing.
Yeah.
And like I think it's having that like resilience and having that like change in mindset and change in like point of view where it's like, hold on, if people are out there bullying me or people are out there saying like saying awful stuff, which they have done without getting to know me first, and making a judgment of like a comment that I probably would have put online, or like a comment I may have said indirectly to someone, or something that I would have thought. I think that I think that's the main thing, which I'm like, hold on. I think it's over. That's the main thing. I'm like, hold on. Like it's the thing which I'm like, I'm not like I'm trying not to let affect me anymore. Like I don't want it to affect me. It shouldn't affect me. Why am I letting these people? Why am I letting these people affect me? I think
Yeah.
not having those friends. I think that really teaches you something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not having friends at all, which I can't believe that you don't, but not having friends at all, it does definitely teach you a lot of things. But saying that though, that being said, if you the more that you're by yourself, the more that you're more focused in a way. You don't have like other people like, hindering your, perspective sometimes. There's a lot of things to it, but for you, I guess it did help you a lot. Obviously, it
Mm,
did help you a lot. Especially now you're older, you do need
mm-hmm.
friends. You do need
Yeah, no,
friends.
I do.
Definitely
I
now.
think it's difficult making friends because it's like I've tried. It's like I've tried. Like I've gone on to these like Facebook
It
groups called
made you
like
more resilient, that's for sure. It did make you more
yeah,
resilient.
no, that's one thing I can say. Like it definitely has made me in a way more resilient and more tolerant to certain things that I think people wouldn't have been tolerant if they grew up with people around them. I also look at it from a perspective of, right, okay, if you happen to be in a group of people and you happen to be working on something,
Yeah.
let's just take like music and like a band or something, and let's just say you're trying to make it as an independent artist, and you've got another person who happens to be a part of like a group of people. I think being a part of a group of people, having like a likewise or a very similar goal, I think that can really build you up in a certain way or another.
Just asking a little throwaway question. Do you like video
Right.
games?
I'm not really a massive video
Ah,
gamer.
why? No, how come?
Again, I think the first time I ever touched a PlayStation was when my parents bought one for my brother. And this was when he was like 8 years. I happened to maybe be about, because there's a 4 year age gap between my brother and I.
Yeah.
Like I think they brought him one when I happened to be about 13.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever touched one, I was like 13 years old, and it was like he was very dominant over that PlayStation because of it being more of his gift than it was mine.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I let him do that because obviously during lockdown,
Yeah.
it was his only way to like socially interact with people and to maintain the friends that he has. So I was just like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm not going to bother with this.
I hear you. I
So
figured you
like
would
I
be, to be honest. I figured you would be into certain type of something like. Have you ever heard of a game called The Sims?
I have heard of
Yeah.
Sims, yeah.
Have you played it at all?
I think I've played it once or twice because I had like a Windows laptop at one point. So I think I downloaded it out of curiosity.
That type of game, yeah, you can play God.
Yeah.
And SimCity as well. Them type of games is pretty fun. I'm more of a shooter. I like shooters. I like strategy games as well and story games. But for me personally, when I was growing up, gaming did help me a lot. Gaming
Mm.
100% did help me a lot, and through my traumas and everything, yeah, it does. Even now, I still dabble in games, but not as much as I used to. So I would argue for you, like, maybe grab yourself like a PC or a laptop, and just like sometimes, if you need another hobby, that's saying, like,
Yeah.
it does help. It does help. There's so many games that you can play, like from educational games, obviously,
Yeah.
or or if you want to shoot
Yeah.
a man up.
No, I mean, I'm definitely interested
So yeah,
in exploring that 100%. But I haven't, but again,
games.
like, I haven't really, like,
Yeah,
properly explored that world
as
of
what I was gonna say as
gaming.
well, Ash. Big up. Gaming is a release from a strain of the real world issues. Facts. And yeah, it does help. AKA, there's cooking games too, right up your street. Yeah, right up your street. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
no,
cooking games
yeah,
also.
no, appreciate
So
that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'll definitely explore into that
you
100%.
can go on your phone. You got iPhone or whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, I've got iPhone.
yeah,
Yeah.
wicked. So you can go up on the App Store and check like different type of games. There's language games as well. There's so many games that you can play, and if you like educational ones, like, well, you like cooking, they would help. Gathering from what you're saying and everything, yeah, it will 100% help, man. Have you ever experienced bullying? Yeah, you
Yeah.
have.
Oh,
Did
let's just say a
say
lot of it. I've probably
yeah.
experienced, like, I don't know. I think the majority of my school life is definitely bullying. Like, I'd
Or
say
what?
I've
A
probably
majority of
experienced this
it? You say
from a,
majority?
yeah, majority of it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sorry.
It
Sorry
was
to
like,
cut you
for
off.
example, like before I moved to the current place that I lived.
Mm.
In when I was like in year 10, for example, I I was, let's just say, there was a bullying situation at the school that I was at, and I ended up, and I'm not usually a rebellious child, but on that occasion, I kind of escaped school,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like I got so overwhelmed. Like, let's just say Dad was in one location and he happened to be like 20 miles away from the school, and Mum happened to be in another location, again, I'd say maybe like 8 miles away, so like in like a non-drivable distance away from the school. And I was that overwhelmed that one day, where, because there happened to be like a partition between like the reception and the actual like school, and like the actual school walkway. What I ended up doing was I ended up going through the door, through the partition, and then went over the desk to then literally walk out of the school, that one
Wow.
on one occasion,
Wow.
where on that one occasion, because of the bullying being so bad, and I just didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the last. So it was like in year. So it was like I ended up. So it's like so to give you some context, I ended up moving schools for year 11. So I was like in one school for like 4 years straight. But then year 10 was like me dipping in and out because of the school being that bad, and like it dealing with the situation quite poorly, to the point where my father ended up ended up swearing at the head teacher because of it, because he was in that much rage as a parent,
Yeah.
because of how the situations were dealt with. And my parents at the time, when I was like 13, 14, they were quite, I'd say they're moderately like stricter, I'd say, than most people about me attending school. But during that period of like, during that period of time, Mum and Dad were like, if you want to go into school, you can go, and if you don't want to go into school, you don't have to turn up. And what did I do? I kept on going in despite what was going on, because I kind of valued my education in that moment of time. So I still kept on going, and I still I was going through it with quite a few people at the time. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to mention the situations.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of it was, I'd say, repetitive. A lot of it, I'd say, was repetitive, and a lot of it was down to a few, I'd say, intensive friendships, which were quite difficult for me to get out of as well, in the sense of I still cared about that person, and let's just say a lot of things happened. I'm not going to go into it all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into it on this live, because I'll kind of DM you privately on that, because if I'm touching on it. But like, a lot of things happened, and it was really difficult for me to kind of navigate that.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't want to speak about it, then we won't. No worries, no worries.
Yeah, no, I'll DM you privately on that because if I've
Yeah,
touched on it, I will.
yeah, it's cool. It's all good.
But one thing I can say is that
Yeah.
I happened to live on, and this is like how bad it was. So basically, on the school that I was at, I happened to live on the same road as the school.
Yeah.
And in the driveway of our like car park, we used to have these like we had like stones. We had like stones, so someone could quite easily be on their walk to school, walk past my house, and they could go into the driveway and they could pick one of these stones up and chuck it at the window. They never did, but that was a fear that I had.
Yeah.
At that age. So what did I do? I ended up purposely going in late. The school I think the school day started at like 8:40 or 8:30 or whatever it was, something along that time, and I ended up probably going in at like 10.
Yeah.
10 to 10, just so then 10, half 10, just to avoid the rush of people walking into school.
Okay.
Just so then they didn't chuck those stones at the window of the house that I was living in.
You just thought it could happen.
Yeah, because I didn't. If it was like one of those hypothetical situations, which I thought could happen.
Do you think schools handle neurodivergent students well?
In my experience, yes and no. Because in the sense that like the schools, in the sense that when I was like diagnosed, and also out of my own fear of bullying and stuff, the school segregated me from the rest of the population as such, because there was like special like an SEN section of the school, which was like these 4 rooms, and like a corridor which happened to be quite close to the head teacher's office. So like a segregated area of the school, and it was like I'd say some of it, like it was definitely all right in the sense that my school, when like I was like there, went through about 5 different head teachers.
Okay.
I think 5 different head teachers in a period of like 4 years.
Yeah.
Or like 6 different. It was like 5, 6 different head teachers when I happened to be there. One of them couldn't give 2 monkeys about it. The other one couldn't. The other one was just like, oh, okay, well we're not dealing with it right. The other one again couldn't, and then the other one was just poor and awful.
So overall, was your school, besides the stuff that you said, but overall, was your school like?
It had a really bad reputation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go.
Like it was like on the verge of like obviously you know how you have those like offset ratings, or you've probably heard of them. I think with your kids and like when you went to school. I don't know if offset. I think there's like 4 different ratings. Yeah, it was inadequate.
Potentially, I have like youngers and elders that don't know well about neurodivergency and how this could affect someone. So, what advice would you give to parents with an autistic child?
Honestly, let your child speak to you, and if they do something which is quote unquote out of the norm or react in a way which you wouldn't expect them to react, just sit there and be open to them. That's like the main thing that I can say, because I say a lot of parents can be quite in denial, but my child doesn't have autism, my child doesn't have ADHD, and I'd highly encourage them to research it. With certain parents who like refuse to believe that my child does have something, I'd highly recommend to research, be patient with your child and understand what they want, because I can guarantee you, because I was one of those children again who was quite quiet on speaking out.
Yeah.
Even despite the support, is just to really take the time to get to know your child. I'd say that to all parents, even like without neurodivergent kids as well, but take the time to get to know your child and realize how that affects them, because it can affect you on so many different ways. It can affect you on so many different levels, so many different wavelengths, and be open to, and just be open to it. Be open to a different way of thinking. Just be open to it, you know.
Yeah, and that goes with different, obviously, other spectrums like ADD, ADHD, and other things as well.
Anyone who's on the spectrum, just to all parents, get to know your child. Like it doesn't mean you have to like buy them things. It could just be I don't know, taking going out on a walk, or like if it was like happens to be like a free activity in your community, for example, which they happen to be interested, which your child happens to be interested in, just spend quality time with your child, whether that's reading a book, whether that's watching a film, whether that's doing anything.
Yeah.
Get to know your child and get them to lead it, not you trying to force or push a motive or push anything onto them. Like it can be as simple as talking to them, and you've got to be patient. Patience is like the key. Patience is the
100%.
key. Like it takes time for someone to like really like, I guess, understand and like research, because you know Google is a free resource. If you've got access, if you can watch this live and you can Google something, you know, you don't have to spend the money, or don't have to be within like the extent of like of my parents, because I understand that that's a rarity and that's going above and beyond, etc. But just do your research and just understand your child. But that's what the main thing.
Absolutely. Perfect. Because of this disorder, has this affected you in a way to like be open with a boy? You know, a lot of people can't deal with that. They're not open to deal with that. You know. Do you?
I don't
think
know, because I
it's
mean I've always been.
yeah,
I think the helpful thing was definitely doing that conference thing, especially like being forced to do something very to open up very early on.
yeah,
I think that for me is definitely a thing that really helped me to process kind of what was going on. So I'm glad that the school made me did that. In all hindsight, shout out to Carly Brooker. Honestly, she was such an amazing teacher. She was one of the first few people who actually took the time to understand who I was. Like, shout out to the majority of that SEN team at the school. I'm not going to mention the name of, because they did. Although the school has its faults, although the teachers have their own faults, some of them were decent teachers. I was just placed in the wrong environment, which probably made them worse. And yeah, I think there's definitely a thing about being placed in the wrong environment and
absolutely.
trying to push through the negativity. Because if you've got a school with bad management,
Yeah.
and that can filter through to the teachers.
Absolutely. I agree with you with that. You said that you're open-minded. A lot of people are not going to think that. They're just going to put them in the same bracket anyway, same category. So what advice would you give to someone who thinks they might be autistic?
If you're able to talk to someone, or happen to know someone, or like free seminar online to help you understand it, then I'd 100% just do your research, and don't be afraid to be who you are. And that goes to everyone. Okay, if I'm stimming, then just go ahead and stim, be yourself, and don't try to hide it, because then that will affect you, because I've hidden it for so long.
I hear you. 100%. If you could change one thing about how society treats autistic people, what would it be?
I would personally say not to doubt people, genuinely not to doubt. If someone says that they're autistic, don't go ahead with the whole, oh, she's autistic, oh, she can't do this, oh, she's not able to understand that, oh, she's not like, oh, don't view it with negativity. Like actually view it in a sense of like positivity, and put that like positive perspective on it. Like that's what I'd say that society needs to do.
You hearing that, people? Hopefully you're hearing that.
Yeah, so don't be like, oh, she's autistic, or oh, she's got like a learning disability, oh, that means she's not able to do that, because every single person with autism is different. Every single person who has autism, who is neurodivergent, is really, really, really different.
How do people around you react when you tell them?
When it comes to my brother's friends who happen to be like 13, 14, my brother tells them, it's usually like shock, and it's that stigma of, oh, she's autistic, oh, she's this, oh, she's that. I think there's definitely still like a stigma about it, but I think if I tell like people who happen to be level-headed and who kind of know about it, then it's usually like, oh, okay, half the time people don't notice, because there'll be things that I'll pick up on myself because I've learned to pick up on it, and there's like a learned trait or like a learned habit, which I'll be like, no, like this really outs me. But then half the time people don't notice, and again that circles back to the whole overthinking thing. Like the majority, like 90% of the interactions that I have with people, I will overthink, or it'll be like in the spur of the moment, I'll be like, you know.
Yeah, you overthink when it's not necessary, but
I
you can't help
overthink when
it.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah,
when it's really not necessary to overthink, and that's something that really does affects me a lot, and it still does. Like, it's like a really ingrained thought process which I need to like learn how to get out of, you know. It's like some of the time when I talk about myself to other people, I would usually use the third person perspective. So I'll talk about myself as if I'm someone else.
right.
And that's a way of, I guess, for me processing it and overthinking it in a way, because I'll talk to myself, because if I talk to myself sometimes it'd be like I'll talk to myself as if I'm another person, but I don't know if that's my autism, whether that just spirals off the fact that I don't have a social life. And yeah, like I'm trying to define that still.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna obviously say because I
I'm
honestly
not, yeah,
don't
no,
know.
I'm not
But
going to, because obviously this is like
yeah,
our first proper conversation, so I don't want to let you be the person to judge that.
very interesting. You coming on this platform and talking about, well, spreading
No, I
awareness,
really
and
do
because it
appreciate
makes
the
me,
opportunity. Much love to
yeah,
you.
because it makes me understand it a little bit more. Because there's certain things that I think, oh, I get it, I relate to that, and then maybe I do have it, maybe I don't. But it's good to let people know as well.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. People need to listen nowadays. People don't listen. They
yeah,
just goes out of their ear. Like, that's how you learn and stop being ignorant. We need to
yeah.
talk about these things. What environments are overwhelming for you?
But if you were to put me
Yeah.
in like a random group of like people, let's just say if you happen to be like, I don't know, like 4+ people, part of it is mood dependent as well. So if you were to put me into like a busy club setting, like we're talking like a let's just say like a festival setting, like an actual like festival, we're talking like the big ones like Boardmasters, Glastonbury, any one of like those ones, and you happen to be like in like a massive crowd at one of those festivals. So we've all seen like videos on TikTok about the Sammy Bergy crowd. I don't know if you've seen that, like the Sammy Bergy
Yeah, on
crowd where
Instagram.
like everyone's all, or like Instagram or something,
Yeah, I've seen.
like people enjoying that, like that to me is like my idea of hell, you know.
Yeah,
I couldn't like I'd love to see it from a distance, but like actually being in the middle of that crowd would be my
it's a
idea
lot.
of.
So are you like drum and bass? Have you been to any raves at all?
No, I haven't actually, no.
You
Part of
got
it's actually down to a
experience
distance.
at least, okay, yeah. But you got experience at least once with the right people. You already know this. You got experience life. You got
Yeah, no,
experience life.
exactly.
So as long as you're with the right people, I'm sure you'll be fine. Piggyback into what you were just saying. Do you prefer smaller groups or one-to-one conversations?
Oh, 100%
So
one-to-one conversations any day
100%
of the week.
one-to-one. 100%
Yeah.
one-to-ones. From what you just said, literally.
Yeah, no, it's like
Yeah.
fully like this is comfortable. If you were to have like 4 other people on the side, I'd be like, how on earth do I interject into this? Like,
It would be easy for me to say you should overcome that, but things take time.
I mean, I don't
So
even know
no
how to
worries.
overcome that when I don't have that group of people there initially to go to. It's going to be quite a difficult one for
Well,
me to
this is
overcome.
when you find a way, and one of them could be gaming, or internet in
Yeah,
itself. Escape into some world and speak to people, and that will help with your skills of communicating a lot more. What environments make you comfortable? Have we brought that up at all?
I kind of, yeah. I go to a lot of cafes. Like for me, I do a lot of like cafe coffee antics, and sometimes I'm like the only, again with this economy in this society, sometimes like I found myself being the only person in that whole cafe. Like you'd be like literally sitting in a cafe having a coffee,
Yeah.
and it took me a while to kind of to even get to that to even feel comfortable with getting to that to getting to that point. And now I'm out there doing like solo meals and stuff. I'm actually taking my first little solo trip, what is it, next month, staying in a hotel for the night by myself. This is the conference by Seed Talks that I'm going to, so I'm doing that in April.
Do you have any special interests or passions? I know we talked about hobbies, but do you have like anything like yeah, you said you don't want to put yourself in a thing, but do you have any dreams like you want to try and,
I
do?
think I think to be honest with you, I think the main dream slash goal I'd say for me anyways is to just make a difference, is to make a positive difference in someone's life. I think that's the main goal
Yeah.
and purpose that I've kind of felt for like since like a young age, to make a positive impact into someone's life, and to actually be that role model, or be that advocate for someone or something. I think that's like a dream and ambition in itself, but I'm not too sure on what in. But I think being an advocate for something, or like or being or being a voice. I'm being a voice right now.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
is like a surreal opportunity, so I appreciate that for you, Trips, a lot. So thank you
Nah,
very
I
much.
appreciate it. Are there things you can focus on for hours?
Oh god, yeah. Okay, so let's just say if you check out my most recent video about this like matcha cake thing, I probably focused on that for like 4 hours to try and get the whole editing thing right. I guess that was one, and I guess hold on, I'm just trying to think of like an actual example of it, like a pure example. Right, so there was this project which the school made me do. It was this like language project, so I didn't actually see a point in it, but you know, it was like during lockdown, I was low key bored, and I probably ended up spending about over 2 days on it, and this was like probably like the most focus I've ever been on like a school project ever. This just proves how messed up the school was, because basically I spent over like 2 days. I spent over like 2 to 3 days on it, and then what happened was she didn't even mark it. Yeah, so that was one thing that I spent a lot of time on, and I think there's definitely been like other projects that I have been like hyper focusing on. At the moment, I'm trying to focus more on content and trying to keep myself occupied throughout this whole dropout thing at the moment. So the amount of research that I've been doing in like different types of yoga, different types of activities, trying to figure out, okay, how is this going to benefit me? What am I going to do? Like how what is this plan going to be, so I can try and get myself out of this, and like what are the best ways. Like it's been like, again, that's been a real hyper focus recently. Can't get myself off of Eventbrite or something.
Eventbrite, yeah.
Eventbrite, that's the app. We have a little check actually on my screen time on like Eventbrite. So in the past week on my notes, Eventbrite and calendar, I have been doing that so we're talking the past week since I've had this hyper focus on Eventbrite. We are saying 6 hours.
So what were you doing? Like, you just checking out events and shit?
Literally just scrolling through events and then Google.
What?
And then
You're doom scrolling.
Literally, no, but I'm not I'm legit just doom scrolling Eventbrite, seeing if there's like anything.
You're doom scrolling events.
Yeah,
Yo,
literally.
that's next level. Yo.
Or again, like, or I've been on like Facebook and like Facebook and literally doom scrolling their event section, just looking for stuff to do and trying to fulfill my days up and being really hyperactive on.
Do you think autism gives you unique abilities?
I think yes and no. I guess it's a quite difficult one to answer, really. I haven't experienced life without autism, so I can't actually define what is like an autistic trait and what is a me trait, and that's been something that I've been trying to figure out. My parents are still trying to figure out myself. I mean, looking at the traits, I'd say I definitely do have the ability to hyper focus on a lot of things. When I hyper focus on things like that, I definitely try and make a plan out of my hyper focus.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think it's like, oh, okay, this is constructive. Because I've made some form of plan, which if I follow it or not, that's a different equation. But because I've done all the work and I've done all the research and I've got all the knowledge on it, it's down to me if I choose to brave it and action it, or if I don't brave it and action it. When it comes to certain events, I can recall it in a lot more detail. For example, let's just take an event which happened like 12 years ago actually. I was in Barbados. I was about 10 years old, I think. Yeah, so we're on about 9 years ago. No, we're on about 9 years ago. And we were there for like Christmas. So we were spending Christmas in the Caribbean. Lovely area. And my dad and I were talking about it like 5 years later. And he was just like, Ella, what do you recall from the holiday? And I was just like, there's this place in Barbados and it's called Gravity Hill. Now I remember this quite distinctively because basically it was a hill that you could like drive up. It was like the reverse gravity effect. So you could effectively be on the bottom of the hill and it like pulls you up, and like you could take the engine off this car. You could like turn the engine off the car and like the car still be moving up this hill. If you were to talk to me about certain occasions, let's just say growing up, like there would like I think there's definitely a lot I can explain it to you in a lot more detail.
Yeah. Okay.
than I'd say your average neurotypical person. And there'll be certain things that I'd be like, but you could be like, Ella, what happened in this occasion, and I could explain this, and I could explain it and articulate it to you in like real hyper-focused detail. Like I'm being a slightly brief because I'm on the slide and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But I can really go into the whole detail of it from start to end, no stutter, no nothing. I can definitely view certain social situations from like a different perspective. If you were to look in like I'm just trying to think what you want to call it, a telescope backwards.
Okay.
So if you look at it from the other end, so if you've ever like turned around like a binoculars, like a telescope, and you see like the small little dot. Yeah. Sometimes I can be so like tunnel visioned on that small little dot.
That one dot, yeah.
on that one little dot, and I can like rabbit hole around other things, but I'll end up forgetting the bigger picture. And then I think that can be viewed as like both a positive and a negative, because sometimes focusing on that one little dot can be really helpful, and it can be like the solution to a puzzle, but then also I could miss so much as well because I've been so focused on that one little detail, that one little thing that someone said, or that one little thing, because that could either affect the bigger picture or it could enhance it depending on like what you're doing and who you're with, etc.
You're into content. You're making content.
beginning to.
You're beginning to.
It's something that I've been really debating for like a long time, in the sense that this is like the whole judgment, down to the whole judgment thing. And this is where I've had to really flip the perspective on, well, why would someone judge me when they haven't had the opportunity to get to know me?
So what content you make? Exactly.
I don't like at the moment. I'm just focusing on more generic content, so just like day in my life, and kind of spend the day with me, so then people can kind of get that like understanding on what I actually do in a day.
Where are you doing that? Is that on TikTok or Instagram?
That is on TikTok. But it will transfer to Instagram soon. I'm just navigating TikTok first.
So how often are you posting or whatever?
So I probably started posting roughly about mid-February, and I'm trying to post at least once every 2 days, because that's actually another hyper-focus actually, because if we look at my notes app, I've got 15 different videos and like the dates that I'm going to film them and how I'm going to film them to get it to the way that I want it to be filmed.
You guys, go and follow Ella's TikTok and give us some love on her content, all right? Mm-hmm. Big love. Do you want to say anything about your content so people get interested in what you do?
So at the moment, because I'm literally just looking at my planned scheduled posts, so I thought just to kind of like follow up along this live, I was thinking of clipping certain bits and pieces, or I'll talk to you more about the stuff when I kind of see it all in the longer form. I'll clip it as and when, and then I'll kind of expand upon some of those points that I've mentioned, but do it in a more of like a get to know me style. Okay. Video, which is like moving with kind of what I naturally do as a person.
We'll leave it there anyways. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Ella, you are a legend. Like, I appreciate you highly. And yes, thank you for the opportunity to interview you, and hopefully many more interviews in the future. Anything you want to say to close it off?
Thank you. Honestly, thank you so much, Trips, for the opportunity. I really do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you very, very much, and much love to you. Much love to all the support that we've kind of gotten in the live. Really, really do appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. All right, take care of yourself.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right, bye bye. Yeah, that was an experience. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Big love to everybody in the chat. It means a lot that people just sticked around. Appreciate you coming in and sharing it. Yeah, man. Yeah, big love to Ella. Shout out her mum and dad as well, So it's been interesting. I've learnt a lot. Be sure to follow me, obviously, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The big 4 platforms. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you so much for watching the live. Please leave a like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Like, as I already mentioned, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to see more of these types of interviews, let me know. Stay safe, guys. Have a good one.